I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd just like everyone to stay standing for a moment so we can remember a man that meant so much to this township and did so much as an employee, as a volunteer, and as a resident. And that's Manny Hirschbond, who this room is named after. He was a firefighter at company number 1. He was an administrator. He was a clerk. And most importantly, he was a friend. Thank you. This meeting is convened in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act of New Jersey. Let the official minutes reflect that adequate notice of this meeting has provided by publishing a notice in the Asbury Park Press on Wednesday, January 8th, 2020, the Press of Atlantic City, and the Star Ledger, and also forwarded to the Toms River Times, Toms River Patch, and WOBM News on Monday, January 6th, 2020. And thereafter posting same on the Town Hall Bulletin Board for such notices and filing same with the Township Clerk pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Township Council on Friday, January 3rd, 2020. The meeting dates have also been posted on the Township webpage. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Urick.
Here.
Councilman Kopp.
Here.
Councilman Lotano.
Here.
Councilman Roderick.
Here.
Councilman Turnbach.
Here.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Here.
Council President Maruka.
Present.
First item, the minutes of October 13, 2020.
Move the minutes.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Urick, seconded by Councilman Turnbach. Councilwoman Urick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Next, we have our honoring resolutions and presentations. And tonight we will be acknowledging 3 Eagle Scouts, Grant Lose, Michael Leotti, and Daniel Schaefer. We will be recognizing the retirement of Township Attorney Ken Fitzsimmons. And we will be recognizing October as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Move the resolutions and proclamation presentation.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Urick, seconded by Councilman Turnbach. Councilwoman Urick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Our 3 Eagle Scouts are not here this evening because we would have had more than enough people in the room if they brought their family and friends, but they will be honored at their Eagle Court of Honor, and that's going to be November 8th, and that will take place outside, and that will be at the Elks on Washington Street. And we just wanted to be able to honor them and get them their presentations and their proclamations prior to their Eagle Court, and I vote yes. Mayor? Next, we're going to ask our attorney, Ken Fitzsimmons, to meet the mayor down at the front. Council, you want to join us if we social distance? It's up to you. To each his own.
Mask on or mask off? All right, take mine off. Tonight we're honoring Ken Fitzsimmons. He's been with the township over 12 years. 13 years ago, Ken left private practice and joined us here at Town Hall. And he's been an integral part of our team. I've worked with him as a councilman and as the mayor for the last 8, 9 months, now 10 months. He's seen us through Sandy, and more importantly, the infamous 2008 reevaluation, where he was doing upwards of 4,000 tax appeals a year. He handled that in-house, which saved us a lot of time and money. And Ken, we're going to miss you. He's always a level-headed individual, very calm, cool, collected, which is unusual for an attorney, I think, but he manages to maintain a very calm demeanor. And I'm always amazed that as our parting gift, we give someone who's retiring a clock, just what you probably don't need, Ken. I'd also like to ask Maria if she'd like to say some words, and our business administrator. So I'm going to leave this over here. This is your clock.
The mayor touched on a little bit about how long Ken has been with us and, what he's brought to this township. Ken was a stalwart during Sandy. There was so many unknowns, so many questions that we've never really faced before to that magnitude in this town. And also, reval was a challenge also. But he single-handedly, over the course of, I don't know how many months, maybe even a year, so did those tax appeals. Ken is always the voice of reason. He is that steady rudder when the ship could be hitting rough seas. And also, one thing I'll always remember about Ken is his sense of humor. Ken has a distinctive sense of humor, different style, but he has always been there for this township. He's been there for both mayors that he served under and all the council he has served under, and then also for all the department heads. When they have a question and it goes to legal, Ken always gets them the answer. It might not be the answer they want, but he gets them the answer. And Ken, just thank you for being such a true, dedicated public servant to the residents of Toms River, but more importantly, thank you for being such a friend over these years. Really appreciate it, and we're going to miss you. But we know where you live, Ken.
Good evening, Ken. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I think we're all going to miss you, some more than others. I can tell you, I met you, I guess it was 2008 when we first started working together, and we got pushed into the tax appeals when we had the Great Recession, and you and I worked on that night and day for the longest time, and I got to see you in action, and you've been nothing but impressive since the day I met you. You've got a wealth of knowledge, years of municipal experience. You were in the private sector, and you joined Toms River 12, 13 years ago, and the town's a better place for it. I can tell you that your work ethic has always been an inspiration to me. I figured if you could do it, anybody could. You've been a friend, you've been a mentor, you've been a sage, and I can tell you I'm a better person for having known you, and I hope you won't be a stranger, and just thank you for everything.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed my time in Toms River. I've worked with some very fine people, and we've had some troublesome issues, but we've met them as a team, and I think we've, all in all, done a good job. I'm sorry to leave with COVID. I'd like to shake everyone's hand, but the COVID has affected our lives for this past 9 months in a manner in which no one expected, but I think we'll all pull through that too. Thank you.
Continuing on with the agenda, Item 7 is an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Section 477-62, Schedule 4, Time Limit Parking of Chapter 477, Vehicles and Traffic of the Township Code, repealing the 1-hour time limit parking prohibition on both sides of Route 35 northbound at all times between Harding Avenue and First Avenue. This is the first reading.
Move the ordinance on first.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach?
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan?
Yes.
Council President Maruka?
Yes.
Item 8 is an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, vacating a portion of an unimproved street known as Evans Avenue by the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, also a first reading.
Move the ordinance on first reading.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Lotano?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach?
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan?
Yes.
Council President Maruka?
Yes. Next on the agenda is our consent agenda. All matters listed on the item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. Therefore, there will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired on any item, that item will be considered separately. Does anyone on the council have an item for discussion?
I'd like a roll call on O and P, please.
Council President, that was O and V?
O and
P as in
P as
Paul.
in P?
P as in Paul.
Okay. Okay. Anyone from the public have an item they'd like to speak about? Mr. Anderson? D as in David. D as in David. Okay. Anyone else?
Seeing none, I'll move the remainder of the consent agenda, other than items O, P as in Paul, and D as in David.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Kopp, to move the remainder of the agenda with the exceptions of items O, P as in Paul, D as in David. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. Item D, Mr. Anderson?
D is for the snow plowing?
Yes, it
Is
is.
that something that goes out to bid?
It-
There's
it-
an amount on that, or is it?
It is. I believe it's an hourly amount there. I ask our administrator to cover what the contract includes.
Purchasing laws require that we bid this service out, so we bid it out for a vendor to provide snow plowing services for the entire township. We bid it out twice. We've had no responsive bidders. And then we have the ability to negotiate. We set a rate, and now we can enter into contracts with multiple different snowplow contractors. And if you know anybody that wants to plow for the town, too many is not enough.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Can I have a motion on item D?
Move item D.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Turnbach. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes. And then we have items O and P. Do you just need a roll call on those? Do you want to speak
Just a
on
roll
those?
call, please.
Okay. Can I have a motion? on
Move items O and P. Do you need separate roll calls, or can we put them together?
I'd like it separate, please.
Go them separate, one by, okay.
Move item O first, please.
Second.
Item O, motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Abstain?
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
Move item P.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Roderick.
Actually, no, I can't move that. I'm sorry. Someone else is going to have to do that. Second.
Councilman Roderick rescinds his second. Do I have a second? Councilman Kopp. Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick and seconded by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
No.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes.
Council President Maruka.
Yes.
We do not have any reports tonight, so we will move on to the bill list.
I'd like to make a motion to pull the, I'd like to make a motion to move the bill list, but I'd like to pull Bill 20-05129 for discussion.
Second.
So we are removing Bill 05129 from the bill list. Motion made by Councilman Lotano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Councilman Lotano?
I'd like to discuss this bill. This is a bill in the amount of $4,477.50. This is a bill that our taxpayers are paying for legal fees associated for this council in a frivolous lawsuit that was started by Councilman Roderick, that was 100% politically motivated and self-serving. Because this case was just thrown out of court with all charges dismissed with prejudice, we can now discuss this openly. He used our tax dollars to buy headlines, knowing full well it was unwinnable and frivolous. It shows an absolute lack of respect for the law, this council, our town, and all of our taxpayers. I, for one, am demanding Councilman Roderick write a check back to the township in the amount of $4,477.50 to cover the cost for this frivolous lawsuit and apologize for these ridiculous allegations to all of us and our taxpayers. Thank you.
Councilman Kopp.
So I think Councilman Lotano said it perfectly. This council here, our short time we've been on it so far, we've been doing everything to save the taxpayer money. And I think this whole entire time, Councilman Roderick has been doing everything to hurt the taxpayer. Unfortunately, this is just another prime example of what Councilman Roderick and his own political agenda is set to do to Toms River. That being said, unfortunately, we have to approve this, and yes to this bill.
Councilwoman Yurick.
I think that my colleagues have said everything that I would like to say on this, so, and as Councilman Kopp said, we do still have to pay our bills, so yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
I appreciate Councilman Lotano pulling it off. I appreciate his comments and Councilman Kopp's comments. And I know, knowing them, that none of us take any joy in this. 18 years as a lawyer, never been sued in my life, and then find myself in a lawsuit on the Township Council. I was confident it was baseless, frivolous from the outset, and we've gotten there, but we've gotten there with the taxpayers now paying $4,477.50. And Councilman Lotano is absolutely right that taxpayers shouldn't be on the hook for that. And I will support and say yes to the bill because Kevin Reardon obviously did the work and deserves to be paid on it. It's unfortunate that it ever had to happen. Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Well, I'm going to vote no on it because at the end of the day, Mr. Reardon did not have to represent the township. We have people on staff that could have represented the township. But then again, Mr. Reardon is a political donor to the mayor as well. And I do not believe this lawsuit was frivolous. At the end of the day, we have an assemblyman with 30 public jobs who donated to each of your campaigns and to the mayor, who was given a contract for a new contract, a new job that was never advertised. This is very political. You did not have to spend this money. You could have easily had Mr. Merlino or Mr. Fitzsimmons handle the case, but you went outside of here and gave this job to someone outside of here, and it was completely unnecessary. But as we can see now, the real reason for going outside of here was really just to make a political issue out of something that wasn't a political issue. So that's all I have for this evening.
Counsel,
You should have used in-house counsel, and it wouldn't have cost a dime.
You shouldn't have filed a frivolous lawsuit.
It's not frivolous. You accepted money from Mr. McGuckin.
Didn't
You did,
Gentlemen,
and you gave him a
gentlemen.
job.
You're the only
And you
one
gave
that
him a
agreed
job.
with you.
You gave him a job. sir.
Gentlemen.
No, that's a fact. You accepted money from Mr. McGuckin. That's a fact.
It's a fact the judge threw it out because it's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous. You accepted money from Mr. McGuckin.
Council
did.
President?
Am I wrong, sir? Did you or did you not accept money from Mr. McGuckin? I'm just curious. And did you vote to give him a job?
I'm not
Quite
going to
the-
debate you.
So, I believe I have the taxpayers' interest in mind. That
Council
contract is going
President.
to cost a tremendous amount of money over the years, and you're pointing to a bill that you didn't have to spend because you could have used in-house legal services.
Council
But
President.
again,
Council-
you wanted the
Hold on,
political
Councilwoman
show. You
York.
have the political show. I yield. Go ahead.
Councilwoman York.
Thank you, Council President. Didn't Mr. Roderick name our in-house counsel in the lawsuit, so they could not possibly represent us?
No, Lori.
Mr. Fitzsimmons, I'll have you answer that question, please.
The possibility of the Department of Law defending the lawsuit was discussed. We felt, as attorneys, that we had a conflict of interest, and we would be criticized if we took sides, so to speak, and represented some members of the governing body, but not all. Because of that, we didn't want to taint the lawsuit and have to do the process over. Both Mr. Merlino and I, after thoroughly discussing it, reported to the administration that we believed we had an ethical conflict, a duty to disclose that, and recommended that the town secure outside counsel. So that decision was made generally influenced by Mr. Merlino and I. No one asked us to make that decision. No one pressured us to. We did so because we felt we were fulfilling our ethical responsibility.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank-
Fitzsimmons. You can continue, Allison.
Council Vice President Gagan,
Yes.
and Council President Maruka.
Yes.
So with 6 yeses, we will remove Bill 05129 in the amount of $4,477 from the bill list. Moving
I
on,
think there's been a
but-
misunderstanding
there's-
about what people were voting for, with all due respect.
It was,
There was a motion on the floor, but each person said they voted for the bills, to pay the bills.
we're voting to pay the bill. We're
So I
removing
think
it for
there's a-
discussion.
I think we have to move to withdraw the motion. I think that's what we have to do first. I think you're going to have to do it over again,
Mr.
unless you want to,
Excuse me, why don't we let our attorney handle it?
I got you. Go ahead.
Okay. You pulled it for discussion
And approval,
and approval.
and it's approved. So now we need the rest of the bills, right?
All right. Now we're just going to need someone to move the rest of the bill list.
I'll make a motion to move the remainder of the bill list.
Second.
motion made by Council Vice President Gagan, second by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Gagan.
Yes, with one abstention to the Board of Fire Commissioners, Fire District 2, as I'm a volunteer firefighter there. That would be purchase order 20-04015. Yes to the remaining.
Councilman Kopp.
I need to abstain from the following: 20-04015 payable to the Board of Fire Commissioners District 2, and 20-05041 payable to Owen and Little Associates. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Yurick.
Abstain from PO 20-05035, 20-05124, and 20-05189 payable to Remington and Vernick Engineers, and PO 20-05381, line 17, only as it pertains to recreation salaries. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Latano.
I have to abstain from PO 20-05116, only as it pertains to line 3 for Lotana Development, 20-03562, payable to Mr. Keys, and 19-03911 to O'Donnell Stanton and Associates. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Roderick.
I have no conflicts. I vote yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
I'll abstain from P0 or PO 20-05381, payable to the magistrates. I'm a local attorney in town. I have a conflict with the magistrates. Yes to the balance.
And Council President Maruka.
Abstain to PO 20-05381, payable to Tom's River Payroll, line item 90, as it pertains to NJMVC lease program. I have a conflict. Yes to the balance.
And next, we have elected officials' comments.
Mayor Hill.
Thank you, Council President. This past week, we had the 22nd Annual Radiothon for Oceans of Love. Through the generosity of our community and our residents, over $155,000 was raised. This is the main fundraiser for this organization, and with COVID, they've had very little opportunity to raise funds, so it was nice that everybody came out and supported that in a big way. Oceans of Love was founded back in 1988 by Linda Gillick and George Colt, and over those past 32 years, they've provided financial and emotional assistance and support to over 600 families in the area. This Saturday, we'll be holding Trick or Treat from 2 to 8 p.m. If you do not wish to participate, what we're suggesting you do is that you tape a message to the door stating that due to COVID related concerns, you'll not be participating. If you do want to participate, we're asking that you leave your lights on. We realize that during the day that might be difficult to see, but if you have the porch light on or a pole light, it'll indicate that you're participating. We also ask the children to wear masks, social distance unless you're in the same family and you're traveling together, and then whenever possible, frequent hand sanitization when you're going from house to house. Next Tuesday is the election. As you know, we're voting by mail in New Jersey. Again, something that I don't understand why we can't be voting in person. We're one of very few states that is requiring everybody to vote by mail. It's a little burdensome on the county. Again, as I stated last meeting, my neighbor had a ballot sent to his daughter who hasn't lived in New Jersey in 20 years under her maiden name. So there's a lot of opportunity for mistakes. I'd ask you to get those ballots in. You can drop them in the drop box out here in front of the library or over at the parking garage, county parking garage. You can also mail them. You can drop them off at your voting polling station. However, they will not be counted until after the election. So if you want your vote counted before the election, I would mail it or get it in a drop box, or you can drop it off at the Board of Elections. Tonight we had a moment of silence for Manny Hirschbond. He sits over our shoulder here and watches over us, and I think we've all felt his presence. I know I have in the 16 years I sat on this council. He's been at a lot of functions. He's always at the Veterans Day function. He was at Wreaths Across America last year, and he had the honor of placing the wreath. He was the oldest veteran, along with the youngest veteran, on Bud Lamel's grave. He will be missed. He served 28 years as the deputy and clerk. He came back out of retirement to help our former clerk, Mark Mutter, when he first took over. I know Mark relied very heavily on him, and he helped Mark for the first year or two Mark was the clerk. He was also a World War II vet, and he served 66 years with Fire Company Number 1. So he richly deserves the term Mr. Dover Township. I say that because before we changed the name, that's what he was. He was Mr. Dover Township. His family owned the community theater right across the street. If you grew up in the Jersey Shore area around Tom's River, you probably frequented that theater. It was a nice community theater. His family ran that, and he will be missed. He was truly a servant of the people. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hill. Councilman Roderick?
I'm going to give my comments at the end this evening.
So you're not commenting this evening?
No, I will comment, but you keep making me first. There should be a rotation. Isn't there a rotation?
Will you keep, I'm going this
Oh,
way.
I'd like to go last today, if that's okay.
No.
I'll go. It's not okay?
Would you like your comments now, please?
Why is that? I'm just curious, why is it that you do that? Why
I was
do you-
gonna say, why
do you
not?
make me first every night?
Because, not every night.
You do, you do. You do. What's
you
wrong
please
with me
like-
going last tonight?
Would you like to say your comments, please?
Sure. So, actually, I'll yield my time. I have no comments this evening.
No comments this evening?
No, it's okay.
Councilman Kopp?
Thank you, Council President. So just a few comments. We have the last farmers market coming up tomorrow. It's going to go from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. behind New Life Church. I'm also excited to announce that we are going to continue Toms River Downtown Night Out on Fridays and Saturdays. It's been a great community event. We have a lot of people coming down. A lot of our residents are really enjoying it, and I'm proud to say that that's going to continue through November. Other than that, I hope everybody has a safe and happy Halloween, and that's all, Council President.
Councilwoman York?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to make sure everybody's aware, we did an honoring resolution for National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and there is going to be a candlelight vigil for domestic violence awareness tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at 36 Washington Street. That's across the street from Town Hall. So just, if any of you, feel moved to come downtown, of course, we'll be wearing masks, socially distanced, but you can come for that candlelight vigil. And on Friday and Saturday night, Exit 82 is presenting a Rocky Horror Experience. So everyone knows at this point that Broadway's been closed, that in-person theater has been shut down. And so the theaters are really, really suffering. And this is one way that they got creative and figured out how they could present some entertainment in a safe way. So they're going to have very small groups, and you're going to go from venue to venue in a rotation, and everyone's going to wear masks and be socially distanced and be careful. And that is this Friday, and it's going to integrate with downtown Friday night, so that'll be, and Saturday. You can go to their website for tickets. And then on November 11th, I know we're going to have a meeting before that, but I just want to make sure we get it mentioned a couple times, that the Veterans Day ceremony is going to be at Bailey Park at 10:30 a.m. on November 11th, because we won't be having a parade this year. So make sure you show up to support our veterans, and that is for all veterans and those who support them, so everybody. And on November 14th at noon, Operation Barbecue Relief is going to be at the Presbyterian Church again. This is the third year in a row that they're going to be there, that I've been to. Maybe they were there before that, and I didn't even know it. So I want to make sure everybody's aware so that you can come, you can donate to them. They give out free meals to anyone who needs it. And it's ridiculous, the amount of food they give out, and it's delicious. So, and if you feel moved, give a donation for that. And that's all I've got today. Oh, there's just the shops at 53 Main, that the track is going to be, the Toms River Artist Community is going to be having a ribbon cutting on Friday, November 20th. So they'll be reopening. And the scarecrows are still displayed through Halloween along Main Street, and you can still vote. And that's it. Have a great week.
Thank you, Councilwoman York. Councilman Turnbuck?
Thank you, Council President. I have two daughters, Emma and Ella. Emma's going to be 11 this week, and Ella is 6. And as parents, my wife Sarah and I try every day to instill strength, self-confidence, compassion, and the knowledge that they, along with their brother Jack, can accomplish anything they set their minds to. Recently, I brought my girls downtown. We live right in the downtown. First stop we made, I walked them to the lobby of 119 Hooper Avenue. 119 Hooper Avenue is the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. We walked into the lobby of the prosecutor's office. You ever been in the lobby of the prosecutor's office? It's very similar. They have pictures of all the former county prosecutors on the wall in black and white, much like we have alternators. Here are the similar in what I'm about to tell you. That day I wanted the girls to see two people on that wall, their grandfather or person they call Pop. And I wanted them to see the former Ocean County prosecutor, Marlene Lynch Ford. I wanted my girls to see the first and only female prosecutor in Ocean County's history. And I wanted them to understand that their picture also will hang there someday. After we left the prosecutor's office, I walked my girls across the street to the Ocean County Courthouse where Daddy works. We walked around the courthouse and we walked to historic courtroom number 1. And I showed my girls where the first female assignment judge in the history of Ocean County sits. When my girls asked who the assignment judge was, the answer was the Honorable Marlene Lynch Ford. I wanted my girls to understand that they too could also preside in the historic courtroom 1 someday as the assignment judge of Ocean County if they wanted to. I told my girls how at age 29, Marlene Lynch Ford was the youngest woman to be elected to the General Assembly in the history of the state of New Jersey. And I explained to my girls that Judge Ford is a role model, someone they should aspire to be like in their own lives. When I read Jean's article in the Asbury Park Press today regarding the dismissal of the basis lawsuit, I was saddened to read that Councilman Roderick was hitting a new low by blaming Judge Ford for her decision, calling it a political decision. I'm an attorney, and I can say to you that Judge Ford is one of the finest and most respected jurists in the state of New Jersey. The difference between her and Councilman Roderick is honor. One has earned the right and respect to be called her honor, and the other sadly seems to be lacking in honor. On a separate note, this Sunday is November 1st, 2020, and November 1st marks the beginning of the Code Blue season here in Toms River. So Code Blue runs from November through March, and obviously if the temperatures drop below 35 degrees, we're going to have our warming centers open overnight. There's plenty of opportunity to work and volunteer there with Just Believe Inc. So if anyone has any interest in the public that is here or watching online, I'd encourage you to reach out to Just Believe Inc. It's a wonderful organization, and they certainly could use the help. I mentioned last time that the Toms River Education Foundation has been incorporated. We are incorporated. Since the last meeting, we've received permits for our first event. It's going to be a 5K run walk. There's going to be a kitty dash and also a 1-mile fun run. The purpose of the Toms River Education Foundation is to raise money for the students of Toms River to try and address the loss in state aid and try and cover the budget cuts. So I'm going to encourage all the residents of Toms River, please come out. There's sponsors that want to come out. We certainly appreciate the sponsorships, but that is now approved. We have the permitting. It's going to be 2:45 start time on November 28th for the kitty dash, 3 o'clock for the 1-mile fun run, 3:30 for the 5K run walk. Thereafter, the downtown night out will be in effect. I've already spoken with the Pones. They're going to have a pasta party for all of the participants. Garden State Distillery and the Battle River Brewery will also be open. So it looks to be a great night, a great cause. I'm going to encourage everyone to please come out. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Turnbull. Councilman Latano?
Thank you, Council President. I will join you, Councilman Turnbach, in that race. All right? Good. 2 Saturdays ago, the Harvest Art Show was downtown Toms River. It was a great success. The day was beautiful. There was a surprising amount of people out. I brought my kids. They had a great time. They got a pumpkin, and it was fantastic. I want to thank the BID for facilitating that. Along with that, the Scarecrow Walk, like Councilman Herrick had mentioned, it's only up. This is the last week. You have to bring your kids, come down, take a look. There's a lot of people walking around during the day, and you can vote at 53 Main Street for your favorite scarecrow. Also, Councilwoman Herrick said Domestic Violence Awareness Month is this month, and there's a candlelight vigil tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Ocean Partnership for Children. Space is limited in that event. They're really careful about social distancing, so they are going to broadcast it on their Facebook Live page for Ocean Partnership for Children, so you can check it out there. Saturday is Halloween. We will be trick-or-treating with my kids, and just a reminder, be safe. It's hard to keep the kids safe when they're all together. They all want to play and jump on each other, but there's an idea just to keep them safe. And lastly, the ballot boxes. There's one right in front of the Ocean County Library, one on the third floor of the parking garage for the county. I pass these ballot boxes multiple times a day. I'm really pleased to see how many people are coming out to vote. There's usually, when I'm coming down here, 4:35, there's like a line to get to the ballot box. It's been a great thing to see. So don't wait till the end. Come out and cast your ballot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Latano. Councilman Gagan.
Yes, thank you. Recently, we've heard about the lawsuit that was filed, and certainly it's Councilman Roderick's right as a private citizen or any citizen to file a complaint if they feel that there's been an alleged wrong. This one, although we all feel it was different, it was solely for headlines using words on social media that the mayor and council were indicted, only served to gather headlines and fuel his agenda. Again, as you heard, it was recently, this complaint was dismissed by the Honorable Judge Ford with prejudice, which means it's completely and permanently over. My 26 years as a police officer, I've testified in municipal court and superior court on various cases from homicides to motor vehicle infractions, as well as called into civil cases for testimony. I've had cases the judges ruled in favor of the opposing party. And what I did then in those cases, I looked inward to see what I could do better and improve myself. I did not bash or ridicule the judge. Now, certainly there's nothing wrong with criticizing the judge's decision. Law professors do it, appellate courts do it, even the bar associations do it. It's a healthy, essential part of our legal process, and the ensuing dialogue strengthens the rule of law. But when the criticism goes beyond the merits of the decision and degenerates into a personal attack of the judge's competence, integrity, patriotism, it undermines the rule of law and becomes a threat to our democratic institutions. Judges have to depend on their moral authority. Personal attacks undermine that authority and weaken the legal system. Judges are also prohibited from responding to any of these attacks based on their ethical code as well as custom and tradition. Perhaps some of us could learn from Judge Ford and her wisdom. Oceans of Love last week was a fantastic event. It was part of the emergency services that paraded in. Thanks to all the Toms River police officers, Toms River fire departments that were there, Toms River EMS agencies parading in and making the final donation to push that count over. And everybody stay safe during Halloween, and that's all, Council President.
Thank you, Council Vice President Gagan. My council colleagues have covered quite a bit this evening. I am now going to open it up for public comment since I do not have any comments. Anyone wishing to comment, please raise your hand. Once called upon, please come to the mic and state your name and address for the record. Yes, sir.
It's Chris Raymond.
Mr. Raymond.
Christopher Raymond. I live at 111 Flack Street. I want to make a couple comments. I've not been to a meeting in a while, like most of you. I have a family. I do want to thank all of you for the food distribution every Friday. I can't think of a better place during COVID for Mr. Hill, Mr. Turnbach, and most of you to give back to this community. Mr. Turnbach also spoke about the Just Believe Code Blue. I've witnessed it myself this past year. It's great. I recommend everybody get involved, especially as we get to the colder weather, the unknown. I want to say that during 2012, we all know Superstorm Sandy came through, and that's how I met Mr. Amoruso. He was with Public Works, and I have to tell you, without him and his crew and the firemen and the police officers, I'm not so sure we would have got through Sandy. So I'm very happy that this gentleman is with the township in a better position. And the last thing I would say, and I wasn't going to bring it up, but Mr. Turnbach spoke about Judge Ford. I met Judge Ford in 2011 after a friend of my father's. He was in a bad accident in Pine Beach at the elementary school. And I met her at a funeral home, Anderson and Campbell. What I remember about her was not Mr. Turnbach, that she was honorable, she was, but she was compassionate. So, and I think she has a daughter, so I have a daughter. We can learn a few lessons from the judge. Thank you for listening to me. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Anyone else in the public wishing to speak this evening?
Seeing none, I move to close the public comments portion of the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Since we won't have an executive session this evening, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No executive tonight. That's your bonus, Ken. It's your going away present.